All right, is this thing on? I think it's on, right? This is part two for my Wednesday review. Um, Getting right back to it on CLSD. Um, again, I just lost 3 trades in a row. I took 2 losses on PAPL. I took another loss on WBuy, which had news, just didn't have the volume, and it just wasn't up enough. Maybe just enough people didn't see it. It happens. But again, I'm sitting here. I missed my original execution. This is what I'm trying to do, man. You know what I mean? Look at this nice big move. I want to grab that first pullback. And I wasn't as on cue today. I was missing stuff, I wasn't paying attention very well, but you know, sitting here, yes, I lost the past 3 trades, but sometimes that shit's going to happen. Um Even if let's say your system's a 40% accuracy system or a 50% accuracy system, that means every 4 or 5 trades out of 10 are going to be losers. And sometimes, shit, it might be 5 losses in a row. That doesn't really mean that your system is bad or like your strategy doesn't work. But, I just took 3 in a row. My execution was a little off. I probably could have helped my accuracy, but this is a brand new trade and I was not trading it like it was a brand new trade. I was still thinking about my losses before, and it's very clear that I got stuck in that emotional hijack because I was up very nicely on this and I only took about a third off. You know, I should have took it. I should have at least took half off. I left too much. That's the moral of the story. I left too much on the table. And once we were starting to push up for new highs, I should have started scaling out, looking for that target. But again, as you can see here, kept trying to push. Look at that. I got another chance. Look at this. 1 chance, 2 chances, 3 chances to take some more profits off the table. And it's not a bad trade. This would have been my biggest trade of the day if I could have probably just got some more off the table. I'm not saying I would have took my entire position off here. I maybe, if I wasn't emotionally charged up, I probably would have took another portion off and maybe held like 500 shares right here, maybe break even. But ultimately, man, look at that. I let that thing almost come. At this point, I was like, I guess I'll just fucking break even on the name. And, even that was emotional. But I mean, look at this. This got pretty choppy, man. This should have broke out by now, especially once we broke this trend line right here. You wanted to see it go, but instead it came back, it pulled back, it tried again, it failed 3 times in this level. This was a pretty clear sign that, it's just weak. But I gave it a chance to hold up at the 5-minute 8. It hasn't really tapped it very cleanly yet. So I was like, okay, maybe it just needed to tap the 5-minute 8, kind of get some shorts and, maybe trap some shorts. But look at that. I ended up breaking even on it right here on the rest, which is, it's unnecessary, man. There's no reason I should have been up. Like I said, I try not to think about the dollar amount, but realistically, I was up 60, 70 bucks on this trade, and now I'm walking away with nothing on it. I just think that is a mistake, But again, I'm not beating myself up over this stuff, Part of me was like, I'm not gonna make this video today. Oh, but you gotta freaking be in when you're losing too, man. Like losing's gonna be part of this game, but today I didn't lose in a proper way. Today I lost because I was emotional, and because I was making beginner mistakes, and it's very easy to get caught up in that, especially after you've had a couple great days like I have this week. Really big days, really great days where I'm trading like on point and things are feeling right. And today things were feeling a bit off, and I was a little bit too slow to recognize that, and I was just I was being a little bit too aggressive. And this was the dumbest trade I took today, right here. What was this going into? I believe this was going into 8 a.m. What did I just take? I mean, I just took another position. Look at now I'm just getting. I was fucking revenge trading. This is not my setup right here. I don't even know what this setup is. Like, yeah, it's coming down. It's tapping the 5-minute 8, but that's not the first pullback that I've been trying to keep myself positioned in. So, like, what the fuck was this? Like, what am I thinking here? especially grabbing a freaking big position. This is not my strategy over here. And like, man, this could have went, man. I was thinking like, oh, maybe we're gonna hold the 5-minute 8, and then we're gonna just gonna clear out all these levels, but you know, it's just not part of my strategy. I'm pretty sure I even took a bigger position here. Yeah, look at that. I took another 1,500 share position. What's my risk here? I don't know. I was kind of just moving it around. This was just sloppy, man. This was sloppy, but I'm gonna put this out there and show you what happens, man. This is emotions right here. This is I'm in a hijacked emotional state right now. And like I said, I'm not gonna beat myself up over it. I'm gonna recognize it here, and I'm just gonna turn it into a lesson, because I know that when I'm following my rules and I'm trading disciplined and I'm focused, I'm gonna be successful over a period of trades. I try not to focus too much on one trade, because that's not something that you want to do, because we're trying to play the long game. I'm trying to think of like my next 10, 50, 100 trades, like how is my system going to perform over a period of time, because like I said, if you have a 50% accuracy system, you might lose 5 trades in a row. That doesn't mean that you quit and you start changing shit up. If I would have just really honed in on these first pullbacks today, my day would have been a lot differently. But look at this. I'm in some bullshit trade here. And it tried to make a push here, and I was like, oh shit. But again, this was revengeful in nature. Look at this. I didn't even fucking take any off the table here. Looking back at it now, I had another decent trade. Like, yeah, this doesn't really count to me because it's an emotional trade, but this is how I could just tell, like, I was not focused. I even have like a target right here that I put, and it comes right up to it, and I don't take any off the table. None. Nice little, $40 right there. Didn't take shit off the table. Moral of the story, this thing came down and just knifed. Look at that. Like, for what? Just took this fat ass loss for what? $70. That's fucking emotional hijack. And that's how easy it happens. Let's move on. I took one more trade. Let's see. So I saw this going. I was thinking about it, but I was like, I wasn't super interested. I only had enough funds to trade like maybe one more thing. And so even thinking back, this wasn't the best quality trade, but it fucking worked. This was after 8 a.m. And this might not have been the prettiest thing, but honestly, this was a fucking 20 times better trade than what I just took, because this is the area that I took the 2 losses in earlier. Ended up just pulling back, kind of recovered a little bit and consolidated, but now it's 8 a.m. We were kind of trading below the VWAP right here, and then we broke above it, and we're starting to pull back. So this is technically a fresh attempt of it pulling back on the 5-minute. Well, your first proper pullback, looking for it to start maybe retesting these levels to the left. And you can see I didn't really hesitate much here to take a look at this one. Again, I was looking for it to hold the 1-minute 20 right here. Kind of looking for that first 1-minute candle to make a new high again. I believe I was anticipating it right here. This might have been a little bit revengeful in nature too, but, as I'm looking back, I would take this trade 100 times compared to the trade I just took that wasn't even anywhere near my edge. Let's see how this played out. So you see, you can kind of see it here. I lost in this area. That was that big knife candle. Knifed again. Kind of recovered a little bit. Trading above the VWAP right here. Pulled out. Tried to pull below, but it recovered above the VWAP again. And the the idea here was that first pullback for it to hold the VWAP and maybe continue higher. And that is pretty much what we got right here. I was kind of risking the VWAP, the most, thing that would make sense to risk off right here. Guys, this thing made a freaking big move. I mean, as you can see, I was down over $100 on this trade, and I went and marked out some targets. So 924, it was kind of a small target for me. I'm like, oh, that'd be like a freaking scalp at that point. I did take some off the table there. I took a little chunk off here, but I was kind of looking for some bigger levels to test because this thing, I knew this thing had a bigger range. I think I zoomed out here to maybe the 30-minute chart. Let's see. Because like 1052 is like, yeah, look, I mean, like I said, these things are it's gonna come and test these levels in theory. So right, this was like the first big obvious level. We're coming to test that now. I took some off the table. Next obvious level is this 1050s, followed by pre-market highs at 1115. But I was kind of trying to find something like a little bit more in the middle to like scale out on the way. As you can see, I'm up pretty nice on this trade right here. Up about 50 bucks. I kind of I had 125 shares. I took 25 off the table so far. You can see volume starting to come in now. Look, this is higher volume than pretty much the whole past hour. So, you know, I was starting to get some conviction here. I'm like, all right, so buyers are starting to step in on this name. See, I zoomed out right here to the 30-minute, and I kind of made a wick at that first initial, I believe this was at 4 a.m. maybe. Kind of found a different target. Or no, I put it about right here. See a more realistic target, 10 bucks, the whole dollar. That made sense to me. Let's see, I got 3 minutes left. Oh yeah, but look at this. Volume starts to come in now. Guys, look, I'm up big on this one. Chipped out some more. I think I chipped some more here. Look at this freaking move, man. I see, like, got caught in a nice trade right here. But guys, look at this. This was more of my edge. Was it perfect? No. It wasn't probably as perfect as this initial move at 7 a.m., which is like when I do the best. That very first pullback, this was a nice pullback. It didn't pull back to the 1 minute 20, but looking back, this was still a nice deep, about 50% of this move pullback. And it gave a nice move right here. I think there just wasn't enough volume earlier, but you know, we kind of just consolidated. But look at this like big downtrend. It kind of broke out that first little pullback, and now, you know, we're starting to make a big move, and we're starting to test all these levels to the left right here. So again, this might not have been the most perfect, but again, it was a much closer to my edge. And if anything, you know, it really was. This is my edge, as opposed to that CLSD bullshit. And I would have been much better off just taking those base hits on CLSD that that second trade was fucking emotional. I shouldn't have touched that at all. That first trade was more valid. So you can see I was just a little bit far from my edge today. My execution was poor, and you can see I probably could have been green or at least just managed my day better. But those small decisions, emotional decisions, are what made it tough for me. Look at this. We even start getting another push here. I was holding on to about half my position here. It was coming back. I was looking for it to set up a 5-minute flag. Look at that. We're even starting to like push for that last target right here. I flipped green on the name overall for the day. But yeah, I ended up just scaling out the rest. I believe. But yeah, I got that was a big old win, but sloppy trades today. Overall, thanks to this trade, I cut the big red day, what would have been a pretty big red day, to a pretty manageable, about $90 red day. Again, bigger picture is I am still green on the week, so I'm going to be looking to clean up my executions tomorrow, get back to only trading my edge, and trading it with discipline, because today I fell away from that. And I just want to be here to learn from it. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'll see you guys tomorrow with some better trades. Peace.